Well, congratulations, applause, and praise are due one Sir Paul McCartney. He just played the Glastonbury show, and by the majority, if not all of the reports following that gig are to be listened to, it was an incredible success. And I say that especially proudly because I know there were people recently who were saying, I don't mean, years ago or before COVID or anything, but recently was saying, oh boy, I can't believe they're going to have him at Glastonbury. That's going to be such a flop. He's going to make a fool of himself. Oh, what were they thinking having Paul there at 80 years old? Oh my. And this and that. Well, guess what? You were wrong, okay? Hey, I myself said, years ago that I thought Paul should maybe think about just sticking with recording in the studio rather than playing live. But after seeing him, I realized he can still do it, even though the man is now 80. It's just incredible. Anyway, let's talk about this article that I found in The Guardian. And it says, Paul McCartney's Glastonbury show hailed as phenomenal. All right, and now here we go with some of the quotes in there. It says, Paul McCartney's history-making Glastonbury set was hailed as one of the greatest headline performances of this generation, as a crowd of more than 100,000 people gathered at the festival's famous Pyramid stage to watch him play. And then it goes on to say, eyebrows had been raised when it was announced that McCartney, who turned 80 last week, would top the bill, becoming the oldest headliner in Glastonbury's 52-year history. But any doubts were shredded when McCartney finished a near 3-hour set with a dramatic pyrotechnics display and a mass sing-along to Let It Be, Hey Jude, and Live and Let Die. Richard Martin, age 75, said, quote, it exceeded all expectations. Part of the biggest crowd the Pyramid stage has ever seen. Okay, Richard Martin, 75, was part of the biggest crowd. He went on to say, although I'm almost his age, I've never seen the Beatles. My wife has. She was one of those screaming teenagers. But he just nailed it. He was brilliant. Of course he's a pro. He's been at it for half a century. People behind us were in their 20s. The man says, and they knew the songs backwards. That's terrific testimony to the durability of the songs. And okay, let's go on here from some younger people as we go along. But it says here first, almost 4 million people tuned in to watch from home and drew rave critical reviews. The Guardian's Alexis Pedridis said McCartney's biggest hits were, quote, about as thrilling as pop music gets. While The Independent described it as, quote, far and away the best this writer has seen on the Pyramid stage in 30 years of Glastonburys. All right, so the Sunday Telegraph hailed it as, quote, one of the most thrilling, uplifting, banger-filled, star-studded sets this 50-plus-year-old festival has ever seen. And then it goes on more and more. I'm just trying to get to the interesting quotes here. Let's see, a 35-year-old named James Jack said, quote, it was incredible. Musically, it was up there with one of the most seminal moments of my life, he says. And then he says, when you watch the films with your dad when you're about 6, that was a boyish moment for me with Live and Let Die. It really got me going. It's the sort of thing you tell your grandkids about. All right, on and on we go. A 25-year-old person, I'm sorry if I say your name incorrect, Sorcha Ingram said, quote, it was phenomenal, the 25-year-old said. I had the time of my life. I've never experienced anything like it. I was obsessed with the Beatles when I was younger. It's where my music taste stemmed from. This was the first time I'd watched him and my first time at Glastonbury. It's a historic moment, a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. And then he's a proper legend, said Keith Burnett, 59 years old. He actually did a really good gig that covered his whole career at his own time and pace. Okay, so we go on, and basically this is pretty incredible. The New Musical Express said he had thrown, quote, absolutely everything he has, which is saying something for an actual Beatle, at Glastonbury 2022. Sounding like a man who frankly knows he might not do this again. Yeah, interesting. But this is just overwhelmingly positive. And I have to laugh because what really drew me to this in the first place, this article, was I had heard some kind of report. You know how people always like to accentuate the negative a lot of times. I had heard that somebody was complaining, one of the people who saw the concert, that, quote, there weren't enough Beatles songs in there. And I said to myself, wait a minute, let me see the set list. Because as we know, Paul is absolutely swamps the set list with Beatles songs, right? And I said, did he do something different at Glastonbury that I didn't know about? Because he's always known for doing mostly the Beatles, or at least 50% Beatles. And I went to look at the set list, and no, the set list is exactly the same thing that he's been doing for this tour, that he's been doing for the past 30 years, mostly or half Beatles. So I'm trying to understand what this idiot was talking about, saying there wasn't enough Beatles here. I'd be willing to bet you this person didn't even realize that songs like Being for the Benefit of Mr. Kite and Getting Better, and maybe, I don't know, I've Got a Feeling, maybe songs that they didn't even realize that these songs are Beatles songs. Maybe they're just looking for Yesterday, I don't know, and Let It Be, and, you know, and stuff like that. I don't know. It's funny, because Piers Morgan of all people, the commentator, reporter, Piers Morgan actually defended Paul, saying, well, you know, what are you talking about? He said, Paul did 9 classic Beatles songs. Well, thank you, Piers, for defending Paul, but he actually did way more than 9 even. But yeah, I just wanted to make this official. The Glastonbury show was really a phenomenal success. It's incredible. This man's 80 years old, and you know, again, is he going to do this again? You know, I don't know. I can't see Paul stopping, but man, this is quite a way to go out, Paul. I got to say I'm impressed, because even I was wondering before COVID, Paul sounds better now than he did in 2019 and earlier. You know, I've said this before. I think the rest did him a world of good, and I think he's been working a little bit more at his voice and maybe taking the register down a little bit on some songs. But yeah, very happy today. There you go.